Okay, welcome back everyone to the Healing Embodied podcast. Thank you so much for being here. This is your co-host, Sarah Rott, and I am so excited today because I am joined by not one, not two, but three incredible, amazing guests. Today I have Grace, Pam, and Katie here with me. They are all graduates of the Healing Embodied Practitioner Training Program, which is our year-long internationally accredited certification program for practitioners. So these ladies sitting here with me are all certified healing embodied practitioners. They are not students anymore. They are full-fledged certified practitioners, and I'm so proud of them and so excited to have them here with me. So they have gone through an entire year of pretty immersive, pretty intensive training. They have learned things from polyvagal theory, window of tolerance, nervous system work. They have learned inner child work, parts work, shame work, sacred anger work. What else? Shadow work, authenticity, building a business. They have really dug in and learned it all. And I'm certain we will not cover every single thing that happened over the past year today because that would take us an entire year to talk about. But they're here to share a bit of their experience in the Healing Embodied Practitioner Training Program, what brought them to the program, what they experienced during the program, during the in-person retreat, and anything else that they want to share. So thank you all so much for being here. I'm gonna open it up. How about we start with everybody sharing a little bit about who you are, what your career or life was like before the practitioner program, and a little bit about what drew you to this program specifically.
Sure, I can get started. So I'm Grace McQueenie. Nice to meet everyone. And when I joined this program, I work for a large tech company. I've been at this company for 10 years next month, so a really long time. And I have I was a client of Healing Embodied actually before joining this program and healed in such profound ways, learned so much. Really being a client changed the course of my life and inspired me to teach this method to others and help others. And I actually in undergrad majored in psychology and theater, so this is very much in my wheelhouse, and the job that I've been in for the past 10 years is very much not aligned with that. It's really this tech company takes really good care of its employees, and that is the reason I'm there. They have taken good care of me, but the work is not necessarily what I'm most passionate about. So I was thrilled when this program came about because it really aligns with what I want to learn and how I want to help people a little bit better than a traditional approach. Not looking to go back to grad school. I have a grad degree in environmental science, and I'm not looking to go back to grad school and spend all that time going the traditional route. And there are things about the traditional route that also don't align with me, and healing embodied methods really do. And yeah, that's kind of the summary of where I am and how I was brought into this work. I'm currently located in Austin, Texas, and yeah, hopefully that answered everything.
I'll go next. My name is Pam Harrington. I'm in the Northern Virginia area of the East Coast. Ironically, I have also spent 10 years at a large company, working very, very much the standard corporate job. There are parts of it that I really enjoy, and there are parts of it that are absolutely exhausting. Um, I was drawn to this program because of my own journey and experience with anxiety that started from bef probably when I was 7. Um, and the different modalities I've tried over the years um, have all been helpful. Every bit of everything belongs in my toolbox at this point. But I really started to see, specifically in this corporate job, people challenged with many of the same things that I have been challenged with, and without vocabulary and a way to articulate those needs, and they're suffering in their own way. And they're desperate for somebody to talk to. I also see it in my family and in the generation behind me. And I know that this is a need. There are many people out in the world feeling like me, and it's such an isolating experience to go through it thinking that you're the only one. So, um, I didn't have a clue how I was going to use this work when I started the program. I was just very much drawn to wanting to know more and wanting to learn more. And through the course of the program, was able to sort of sprinkle in a little bit of this and a little bit of that at that corporate job and in my family relationships and in my relationship with myself. So it's still taking shape as to how this will all play out for me specifically, but that's sort of what led me in the direction of participating in the program.
So hey, I'm Katie. I am living currently in New Zealand in the South Island. And before this program, I was working in, and now just thinking of it, I'm just remembering how much I did not enjoy the job, but it was construction project management. Um, Not actually working there now. It was a good career, but similar to what Grace said, not my passion, wasn't aligned with me at all. And I used to, you know, dread going into work, and I kept thinking, am I ever going to find something that I actually fully enjoy? And then I signed up for a master's in psychology about 2 years ago and quit after about, I think I lasted about 2 months because it just didn't feel right. And about a couple years, or probably a year prior to starting that master's, I'd done, I believe it was the Luscious Love program with Healing Embodied, which was for, relationship anxiety. And that just changed everything. Like, just can't even put words to it. Um, and I just felt like the healing and body work changed so much for me that when I saw the practitioner course come up after I quit my master's in psychology, I was like, oh my God, this is it. It's like all the work that I enjoy doing. It's you know, all the things that interest me, like nervous system work, inner child work. Um, Knew I wanted to work with people and hopefully help people. And so, yeah, when that practitioner course came up, I was just instantly signed up. Um, and that's pretty much the journey of, why I quit the master's, because it was great and it was interesting. And I learned lots of interesting stuff about psychology, um, and it's not me saying the traditional route isn't the right route because it's great. But, doing lots of coursework wasn't really, aligning with me. And I liked Healing a Body's approach, which was, working with one another and, having that understanding of one another and teaching you how to work with people. So that is why I signed up for the practitioner course.
I love it. I'm already tearing up hearing the three of you just introduce yourselves. So this is going great. We're doing great over here. Yeah, something that's really sticking out to me that all three of you spoke to was how much of a role your own healing played in guiding you into this work, that your own healing really was a catalyst to then wanting to help others and give back and bring the healing potential of somatic work, embodiment work to the collective, to the community, to the people in your community. And that is something that I just think is so beautiful and magical because the three of you have heard this, have heard Chelsea and I say this so many times, and you're going to hear it so many more times. Like, you will touch lives that Chelsea and I could never touch with this work. Like, you will facilitate this work in a way that has your own magic in it that Chelsea and I could never do. And so it's just so beautiful to witness the ripple effect. And a couple of you spoke to more of a somatic coaching route versus the traditional route. And when we say traditional route, we mean the route of grad school, becoming a licensed therapist, and then working within the traditional mental health system. And Katie, you touched on this a little bit. Like, the traditional path is very heavily focused on the professional experience and expertise, the theories, the theoretical frameworks, the concepts, reading books, writing papers, testing how well you can absorb course material, which is so important, right? But that tends to be the main focus of the traditional route. Whereas when it comes to more of a coaching route, the focus tends to be a lot more on the personal embodiment. I have felt this, and so now I am going to teach other people what I have learned through my own experience. And something that was very important to Chelsea and I when we were creating our practitioner program is to have both the theoretical side, the more professional expertise experience side, and the personal embodiment piece. And that's something that we really look at when we're talking to and interviewing students for this program is, do you have your own experience with personal embodiment, and are you willing to? Are you willing to go there? And that's so it's really, yeah, it's really beautiful hearing all three of you speak to how your own experience led into wanting to do this work with others. So I'm curious to hear now a little bit from whoever wants to share just about your experience in the program. And I know that's a big question. We can kind of keep it focused first and foremost on key takeaways, big transformational moments, just when you think back over the past year in the program, now a little bit more than a year because you've been graduated for a couple months, what are some of the main points that stick out to you that you want to share with anyone who might be listening to this?
I think that when I began the program, I was in a typical anxious person's way of doing things is like, how do I do it right? Where is the structure? When do we start? When will I know if this is working? Like, let's go. And I remember being very nervous to do well, whatever that means. And also very like relieved isn't quite the right word, but very much enjoyed the way that the program is structured so that there's some education for the first class, education and practice for the second class, and it's very gentle. Like that's a good word to use, is it's very like you don't have to prepare, you practice. And we're all practicing in a safe space amongst the people who are here right now and our other cohort members. And then there's an opportunity for your own practice, either with someone not in the class or someone in the class for that third week. And then the fourth week is everybody together to sort of wrap up and transition into what's coming next. And that felt very gentle. It seems like the right word because it's intentional, structured, but also still very much like a learning lab of bring what is alive, bring what is happening, bring what is real for you so that we can just sort of work with it in the context of what this month's topic is about. So the nerves went away pretty quickly once I got the hang of that structure. And I think I also approached it from a very, not analytical, but very, well, brain first kind of perspective. And as the program continued, I started to kind of butt up against some frustrations, some itchiness, some not quote pleasant experiences that I also had the opportunity to work through live and in real time, which I wasn't really anticipating. But there's growth opportunities in literally everything that we do, even going to the grocery store. So I don't know why I didn't sort of budget for that in terms of emotional exploration, but that certainly was a part of what came to be. And then once we got to the retreat, I think that's when things really started to like, oh, okay, you're in this. Like Pam, you're doing this. How are you seeing how these pieces are fitting together? How is this interaction amongst the other cohort members going? How is your interaction inside the group going? A lot of like self-reflection questions that kind of helped me formulate or kind of reevaluate how I wanted to show up in the program and continue going forward. So after that, I think the program became much more intentional. Not that it wasn't before, but after the retreat, things became much more real, for lack of a better term. I can't think of how to describe that. Um, and then I do also remember thinking in the last month, I was like, wait, what? How did an entire calendar go by and we're here already? Like, I really wish I could go back and do that first quarter a little differently, and kind of soak more out of it. But everything is happening in its own right time. So I didn't miss anything, and I don't regret anything. But that was just a bit about my experience through the program.
I love hearing all of this, Pam. So many like juicy, amazing nuggets. I was taking notes the whole time you were talking because I was like, this is so good, and I want to remember this. I love that word gentle, gentle. And yeah, to me, that just speaks to like having space to integrate. We need space, we need time, we need rest in order to integrate material. I know for my own self and my experience, I did go the traditional route, and there were often times that it felt like the material was just being so crammed into my brain and into my body, but I didn't feel like I had a grasp on it at all. And now looking back, I can see, oh, my body maybe needed more time to integrate. And it sounds like you felt that in the micro, like month to month, with the structure of the classes, lecture and practice, then full practice, and as a whole throughout the year, that they're like in the beginning you were kind of incubating, you were still gathering information, you were still arriving, and then after the retreat it was like I have now arrived and I am here and I am looking around and I am reflecting and I'm whoa, seeing what it means for me to be here with these other people, and some shifts that showed up, some nuggets, reflections, etc., that showed up for you. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I love that you're speaking to having the space to play with, create with, explore, process your own personal experiences that were coming up. That's another thing we've talked about in the practice classes a lot is, you can absolutely just be a fake client, like pick something, make up a story, make up a persona, try it on and practice with that. And bring your own stuff in. If you're having imposter syndrome come up, bring it in. If you're having shame stories come up, bring it in. If you're having anger come up, bring it in, right? Bring it in and let's work with that, because that's, I mean, to us, that's the work, right? It's not just about learn this theory so you can do it with everyone else. It's like learn this in your body, in yourself, in your life, in your experience. And then that will naturally inform how you do this work with others. Yeah, beautiful. Thanks for sharing all of that, Pam.
I can share a little bit next. I was actually just meeting with a current student in the current cohort this morning, just hearing about her experience and comparing notes and stuff. And it's so cool to see someone in an early stage of the program like feeling the same things I felt. It's really validating for me and for her to be like, oh, you're exactly where you need to be. Yeah, definitely echoing a lot of what Pam said about going into this not knowing exactly what or any idea of what I'm going to use this for or do with this. But there was a pull towards it. There's a belief in this work and just a feeling that there's no way this could hurt me. This is only going to enrich my experience and my life. And if I decide not to make a career shift out of this tech job that I'm in, I will be a better partner to people at work. But like, there's just all these things that you don't have to necessarily go into this program feeling like, okay, yes, I'm going to do this and then start my own business and then become a practitioner. Like, really, if you are feeling pulled towards it, I would encourage you to get curious and follow that, even if you don't know exactly what you're going to do with it. Because I would say, I think Pam would agree with me now, we are coming out of it with a pretty clear view of what we're going to do with it, whereas we went in not knowing at all. So Chelsea and Sarah are incredible stewards of this work. It's kind of a strange word. It's what came to me, and helping like tailoring it. The amazing thing about the cohorts being the size that they are, and the reason there's caps on registration is like Sarah and Chelsea tailor the experience to each individual, which is, it's just priceless. I get like goosebumps thinking about it because it was so much more about me and my experience and my healing and and like what I need than I thought it was going to be. Because school and the academic realm is typically not. It's typically about, here's this external expectation, you meet it or you don't, and here are the consequences if you don't. And that's just how it is. Not saying that's right or wrong. It's just that is how it is. So I kind of went into it thinking, okay, it's a program, there's homework, we're gonna do, and it just wasn't that at all. It was so much more about my, Chelsea and Sarah always say, like, unique magic. Like, what are the things about me that make me someone that can really connect with people and really share this work in a unique way, different from anyone else? And when I say personal, I mean like towards the end of the program, small spoiler, I won't like go into too much detail, but like there's a section about your practitioner identity, and literally there you will brainstorm what are the things about you, Grace, that you can bring to your clients that would be really special. And that just really surprised me that it was so personal and so just like priceless to have someone be like, these are the things that you are the best at. This is what I feel from your work. And a lot of the learning we did in the program is experiential, like 90% of it. And if you look at, I'm not sure what it's called, there's like a learning framework for anything, for work, for school, that it's like most of your learning comes from experience, and this program is really that. There is some reading, there is some I listen to some podcasts as supplemental things and watch some videos as supplemental things, but most of it is experience, practicing, jumping in, trying stuff. And that's really priceless. And I think that is why we are coming out of this. I think I speak for all of us when I say we're coming out of this with really tangible um, feelings of like security and excitement for where we're going. Of course, there's always doubts, of course, but really coming out of it with a tangible move forward. And because of the way the program is structured, I don't think that there's any way that won't happen to someone. I know that was some of the fears I had. Like, is this really gonna do something for me? You know, for those of us that have a part that focuses on that. And the answer is yes. Like, it's impossible for any other outcome from this program because of the way that it's structured. And yeah, echoing Pam's sentiment also on the retreat, it was really great to work with folks in person, and really solidified my feelings of like, this is work that I really want to do. And I think that's all I'll say for now about it. But yeah.
Beautiful. I have goosebumps hearing you speak to all of this. Thank you so much for all of those reflections and everything you're sharing. And yeah, it's so cool hearing people talk about how a program like this can support you, even when the work you're doing while in this program is so wildly different, right? Like, I mean, you both shared throughout the program, Pam and Grace, how much the work you were learning through this program was impacting even how you showed up at your corporate jobs, right? And how you interacted with people and how you helped your coworkers, how you talked to your coworkers, how you would receive information from your coworkers or your boss or your clients or what are they called when it's corporate customers? I'm like, I forgot. It's been a while, y'all. So yeah, it's just really beautiful hearing how many shifts can happen no matter what you're doing, no matter who you are, no matter where you're at in life. That yeah, Grace, I love that you said this, that this program felt very tailored to you. And that's something that's really important to Chelsea and I, is we didn't want to just make another program where we're cranking out other Chelsea and Sarahs. Like, we don't need more Chelsea and Sarahs in the world. We need people who want to be in touch with their unique magic to learn this method, learn the healing embodied method, learn from us. But I hope that, and you spoke to this, Grace, and I hope everyone felt this, that it never felt that we were trying to make you into us. We were just helping you get closer and closer and closer to you. Um, Both Grace and Pam have spoken to like your own personal opportunities for healing or challenges that came up throughout the program. And I have curiosities and I want to hear more about that just as much as you're willing to share. But I'm going to put a pin in that. Katie, do you want to share anything about just key takeaways, big moments that stuck out throughout the program?
Yeah, so I was just thinking about the journey of the program. So again, similar to what everyone said, but if you're curious about the program, follow those, follow that curiosity. Because I remember before starting the program, when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is everything, felt so drawn to it. And then those natural doubts come in, and you're like, is this the right thing? You know, it's not following, say, the norm of like traditional. But following your feeling and your curiosity and everything I've learned from that, similar to following the same thing when I did the Luscious Love program, every time I've now followed that curiosity, it's been the right thing every time. Even when there's the doubts that jump in, I always look back on it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did what I did. So, start of the program. I'm just remembering as like the four of us are sat here on our computer and I can see all the little faces on Zoom. Our first lecture, I think, was the nervous system one, and then we had the second module, and I just remember being so nervous, like could barely speak. We had the opportunity, and it was a safe space to speak when we wanted to jump in to ask questions, and still was nervous to say anything. And then thinking a year on now, and we're sat on here on a screen, and I feel much more comfortable just talking in a space like this. And that just shows the healing work you do in the program with yourself as well. So it's, Sarah and Chelsea teach a lot about inner and outer relationships. And something I loved along the course of the program was obviously working with clients and working with things that they're going through. And also during this program, learning what's popping up in the program is something you can take away and work with and do some healing work with it. And so that was something I used to do, is come away from the lectures and be like, why am I afraid of speaking up? Why am I afraid of talking in a group? What are these things? Um, and I think similar to what Grace said, that even if you don't end up taking it into a practitioner space, the journey that you'll go on is so incredible, and it's almost just like a big you just end up having so much more like self-compassion and self-love, and just because you've taken a leap in something that you were curious about, but also you just learn so much. So yeah, just the beginning probably was nervous, had those doubts, signed up for the course, had some fear, was learning some incredible things that were super exciting, all the nervous system, inner child, all that stuff that's really interesting. And then those natural doubts pop back in because it's when you're first doing something new. So when, we were doing those lectures and we were practicing with each other and guiding each other through inner child or shadow work, your brain wants to pop in and say, am I doing this right? Am I doing the right thing? Am I saying the right thing to the person on the other end of the screen? And as all that started to fade away, your mind started to calm down and you were more in your body. You were able just to follow your natural intuition, which is what Sarah and Chelsea were, um, I can't remember the right words for this, but like leading us towards following our own intuition. And I guess that's similar to what you said, Sarah, like you're not trying to make copies of yourself. You want us to follow our own guidance and our intuition. So yeah, as the more you start to do that, then the program, I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is right. The more you just followed yourself and your intuition in those practice sessions.
Beautiful, Katie. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of that. And another plug, you kind of reiterated a lot of what Pam and Grace were saying of like your own personal growth and healing journey that existed simultaneously while learning how to support others in their growth and healing as well. And it's all the things you named, Katie, of like I'm afraid to speak up in front of a group. I feel really uncomfortable. I feel awkward. I feel fear. I feel doubt. I feel this urge to like kind of hide and curl away. All of that are things that will come up as a practitioner, right? As you're facilitating healing spaces. And so, how cool that it came up in the program and you got to explore and work with that in real time. Those are also some of the very things that your clients are going to come to you with, right? And now you have both the professional experience of guiding someone in that, practicing guiding someone in that, and your own personal lived experience with that. Delicious. So, yeah, this brings me to a curiosity that's coming up and kind of leads into the next question here is all three of you have spoken a couple of times to like your own personal growth and healing that took place throughout this program. And perhaps I am projecting, but I could imagine some listeners or some people who are interested in this work or interested in this program possibly feeling a bubble of fear around that, a bubble of, oh, I'm not just going to be learning how to do this with other people. I'm going to be asked to really look at and sit with some of my own stuff too. And that's going to come up along the way, and I'm going to have to be willing to hold that. And so, of course, with respecting each of your individual boundaries and confidentiality, I'm wondering if anyone's open to sharing a bit about how that felt for you throughout the program, how you navigated that, meeting both your own or just meeting your own personal stuff that was coming up throughout learning how to do this with other people, and how, yeah, how you navigated that, how you felt supported in that throughout the program. And with that, I'll just throw out any other challenges you encountered while in this program and kind of how you navigated that too.
So
Oh, go ahead, Pam.
I will hop in here because one thing that I can speak to is I had to really take a hard look at my dynamic inside of a group. I'm a very efficient person and I'm a very efficient person. I don't know another way to say that. I like to get things done quickly and I like things to be done effectively, and then I like to relax. And I don't get to relax until everything is accomplished. So this concept of like, well, let's just make space for everybody to have as much space as they need. I was like, wait, that's not efficient, guys. Like we need to do this. It needs to be packaged up a little bit differently. There should be time limits. Not that I actually said this, but I'm sort of just going through some of the internal process that I was noticing that was coming up. And I think a very big part of my learning, it probably happened in, what is the group session, Sarah? Which one is group?
Yes, month 10,
10.
which is, yeah, group dynamics.
10. Big part of me was like, but I'm not delivering value. I do not understand how I am going to be bringing value. What if I don't get this right? What if I don't say the right thing to them? What if I don't accomplish this in the group? What if everybody doesn't feel heard? What if, what if, what if, what if, what if? And all of the prior modules build up to the like, how are you, Pam? How are you showing up? How are you providing value? How are you? It was like a dismantling of a structure that I had created that does not belong in this kind of work, which was so critical for me to see and really like feel, because the value in the group work, the value in this work is holding the space for whatever needs to come up. It is not about me saying the right thing to you. It is not about me getting it right for you. It is not about you doing anything right or wrong. It is about the space that is held by a confident, grounded, capable practitioner for whatever fills the space. That's what is the value. And it really clicked in for me in module 10, where I was like, whoa, there is no syllabus here. Like there is no checklist that has to get accomplished. And I could keep making up metaphors for how to say that in different ways, but That was a very big learning for me, which was we're not just trying to get through this so that we can sit down and relax. And I don't mean that I was trying to get through the program. I mean, in general, my very efficient self likes to knock things out so that we can move on to relaxing. And in fact, the value is very much in the being, the holding space for the existing. Also, in portions of the program, I remember thinking like, oh yeah, I'll have to do that when we're done. Like in the shower, I'll have to think about that instead. And Chelsea and Sarah were like, no, we're gonna do this right here. Like, let's start to think about it. You don't have to have a plan yet. Let's start talking about it. And I was like, oh, that's a much more comfortable space to sort of try things on, experiment, talk out loud, get your thoughts out of your head and out for the group, hear people say, I agree, or what about this? And my prior framework would have said that that was not efficient, but it was very much useful, very needed, very much needed. And I'm not sure I articulated much of that as well as I'd like, but that is one example of a learning I had that was a huge relief to sort of experience the tension and then see the resolution and then really truly feel the answer, for lack of a better term, and that value is described totally differently now to me than it was going in.
Oh, I love that. And yeah, I love how you're speaking to it showed up in little tiny pieces throughout the whole year. And then yeah, module 10, month 10, group dynamics section, it just like whoom, was right there. And the experience of learning it, hearing it, knowing it, right? It's one thing to hear, like the value is in the being. Slow down, hold space. It's just about holding space. It's not about saying the right thing. It's not about like being the perfect practitioner who offers the perfect prompt at every given moment. It's one thing to hear that, and then it's another thing to feel it in real time and actually experience it in your body and experience what it's like to hold space for a group of individuals and for you to be the grounded, calm, slow person in the room that is just, I'm here, I've got you, I'm holding this, we're holding this together, and to see and feel in real time the magic that happens then and feel, yeah, really feel that in your body. I remember you bringing that up in classes, Pam, of like, oh shit, I feel it now. I see it now.
Well, then also to do the assignment, the group assignment, I don't know that I was necessarily nervous to do the group assignment because I had a great group of participants, but the unexpected elation that I felt afterwards, I was not prepared for how much fun it was going to be to really tackle some difficult and sensitive topics that these people were kind enough to bring to the group space. Um, it was such a wonderful feeling to get to participate in that and a true privilege to get to hold the space for the experience. And it didn't require anything of me other than me trusting that is where we needed to be. And I had to learn that not through forcing or rushing or a structure of any kind, but just from doing. It was really fun.
Yeah, that is the magic of this work. Like it's sacred, right? It is an honor, a privilege, as you said, to hold this space and like be able to support people in navigating these really deep, sometimes ouchy, painful, heavy, dense topics. And the magic of this work is that that can still feel so fulfilling and fun and playful, and you can actually experience so much enjoyment out of it that the healing process, both for the practitioner and the people, the clients, the people receiving this work, that it can be fun and playful and light.
Well, I do want to add there that we have a culture of healing work. I'm using air quotes in case nobody can see this video. Healing work is hard, and there's a finish line, and that there's some, I don't know, medal that you get, when you're done with it. And I don't think it has to be those things at all. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of joy that is behind this healing work. There's a lot of fun. If you can laugh at this sometimes excruciating situation that you're in, it really levels the playing field for that energy that's driving the excruciating pain. And I think that's a really important thing also, and something that I took me a long time to get to where I was like, wait, this is actually kind of funny. If we really look at it, like, I have been tortured for years over a topic. I have an OCD diagnosis, so like I literally mean for years over a topic. Man, what do you do? This is funny. Like, you have got yourself wrapped around the axle on one sentence that just keeps rolling over and over and over again. And I don't mean to make light of it. I know that it's very difficult. It's excruciating. There's not another word for it, but it can be fun. There are pockets of laughter. Hopefully, there's pockets of joy. And in those pockets is more opportunity. So this work doesn't have to be heavy and hard, and it is sensitive and um, delicate. It doesn't have to be awful and trudgery and difficult. It doesn't have to be that way. So
Yeah, I love that. And that's such an integral part of the healing embodied method, and what we teach too is like it exactly what you're saying, Pam. It doesn't have to, the way you work with excruciating experiences doesn't have to be further excruciating, right? That the way you relate to it can bring in humor, lightness, play, creativity. It's such an integral part of the work, the work we teach and how you do this work. And then each individual practitioner brings to life that creativity, that sense of humor, play, lightness, whatever, in their own unique way. Like Pam, your use of humor and play and creativity is very different than Grace's and Katie's and mine and Chelsea's, right? Like we each, that's your own unique magic coming in. So, oh, I love this. Grace or Katie, anything either of you want to share about either how you navigated your own personal stuff coming up throughout this program and or any challenges you faced throughout the program?
Sure, I can share a couple things. I think comparison for sure comes up, depending on who is in the program with you. Like we had the therapist, like a practicing therapist in our group. And so I was always like, oh my gosh, like she has so much experience with this already. And so those fears and those comparisons, especially in the beginning, are completely normal. Just like those feelings of like, am I going to be good enough? What, thoughts, I had thoughts like, what business do I have in this space? These people have more experience, XYZ. Am I healed enough? That was another question that came up. So just knowing, just normalizing that all of those are normal. And the way the program is set up, and like having you, Sarah and Chelsea, as like just amazing space holders yourselves, it felt really safe to bring those things up, to say like, I'm feeling inadequate today. I'm feeling like really disconnected from what makes me great. I'm feeling like I'm not doing enough. And there's a lot of open dialogue built into this program, a lot of feedback, a lot of sharing. So I think there's that notion that we sometimes can like learn a skill, but really hone that skill by teaching others. And I really thought about that a lot in this program. Like, I think, and the way that I'm applying that here is that, like, I think, yes, parts of me have healed. I've learned so much about my body, and I'm in therapy myself. I also have an OCD diagnosis. So I, have been working on this for a long time, but I would not say that I started this program healed. Like I started this program, like I'm done and I'm completely regulated. That's not at all the case. But I think doing this work is regulating. When you learn how to facilitate a session for a group or for another person, you are holding the space by being that grounding presence, meaning you are in your body. I'll speak for myself. Like if I'm in a session with a client, I am focused on my breath. I'm moving through what's happening in my body. You're almost giving yourself therapy at the same time, or a therapeutic experience at the same time. You're co-regulating in some cases, and you're never, of course, you're never putting your stuff on your client, but you are invited to, and in practices in the program, invited to tune into your own body so much that I arguably I came out of this program in terms of my own personal healing journey way further along than I was before. I learned so much about from other people in the program too, other perspectives, other practice sessions. So I really think like on a personal level, it helped me with my stuff kind of just as a byproduct of all the work we did, which is amazing. And something I was really worried about, and I think people who come to Healing Embodied for maybe relationship anxiety, I've heard like similar fears of like, what if my client has relationship anxiety and I get triggered by their stuff, or somebody gets really dysregulated about body image, and that's something I really struggle with. That was one of the most profound things about this program, because that was one of my biggest worries was, is this going to trigger my OCD if I'm working with people who have this? And you learn immediately, like day one, you start to build strategies, and you start to build this. It's not a wall, but it is a boundary that is like permeable, that you completely control. That's the best like metaphor I can use for it. Chelsea and Sarah and the curriculum teaches you how to keep that stuff at a safe distance, not take it on yourself. I was really worried about that. And that was part of the reason I didn't pursue therapy after college, is I was like, I can't take this on. And you really learn, that's like one of the first focuses, is like, how do I recognize that I am here holding a space, but I am not absorbing what they are, what they're bringing forth. And I work with a few clients right now with relationship anxiety who bring it into session, and I am just amazed. It's like maybe emotional at times how much I am not absorbing it, how much it is not triggering my nervous system. So that's something you can expect to learn, and one of the most exciting things that we learned.
I love hearing about this. So beautiful. And it's really bringing up this concept for me, or this thought for me, that like this program, you're hearing all these graduates talk about, some of their own personal stuff would get a light shown on it during this program, and there was space to bring it in and work on it, and let's explore it, let's play with it, let's create with it. This program is by no means meant to be your personal therapy, right? Like this is set up in a way to not be your personal therapy or coaching program. It is a practitioner training program, and there's so much space to be a human, right? Like that's the foundation of the healing body method, is like you're human first, both in how you approach your clients, how you set up your practice or your work, how you approach yourself. Is you are a human. You are a deeply feeling, messy, imperfect human, and there is space for that. There is space for that. And so when you bump into your own humanity, which is what I would call all these things that we're talking about, of like, how do I exist in a group? My comparison, I'm afraid that this is going to trigger me so much. Like, hello, being a human, right? Those are just things we face as humans on this planet. And so when you bump into your own humanity, there's space for that. And there's space to practice how you navigate that. And in learning to do that for yourself, I mean, this is what you were speaking to, Grace, and this has been my experience too, is like learning to do that for yourself makes you a better practitioner, and teaching others how to do that and guiding others, supporting others in that journey makes you a better practitioner, right? And it's just this very cyclical, interwoven experience, which I think is really beautiful. And yeah, Grace, I love that you're speaking to the learning around how to not absorb and take on what clients bring to you. And of course, as a human, you are allowed to be impacted by what your clients bring in. But how do you feel that, hold that, navigate that without fully pushing it away? And I have to now be a blank slate that is never impacted by anything, or fully absorbing and taking it on as if it's my own, right? And yeah, part of this program too, especially in some of the sections some of you have spoken to around practitioner identity, building a career you love. Um, Part of this work is permission to not work with everyone too, right? Like, I mean, as a practitioner, I have a couple of populations, client presentations that I won't work with because I have learned for myself that it is too much. It is too triggering. It is outside of my capacity of what my body can and wants to hold. And so I've given myself permission to say, those clients are not for me. And I can support them by referring them to someone who is for them. And they will get their unique magic. I don't have to be everything for everyone. And you open up so much more space to explore with different clients when you know how to not take that on, right? Like Grace, you were saying you were terrified of working with relationship anxiety because it was so raw. And now you're like a relationship anxiety expert, right? So it's really, really cool to see how that can shift and inform your practice. Katie, anything you want to share around this?
Yeah, I was actually just going to say something I was thinking about with the course is that I remember I think it was like January to maybe January, February, and I was struggling with my full-time job. And also I'm in New Zealand, so the time difference is really different. So I was getting my time differences wrong, and there was a couple of sessions that I missed. And I remember just like beating myself up about it. And I was so upset with myself for missing the sessions. But Sarah, you and Chelsea were so kind about it and so just, I don't even know what the right word is, loving, I don't know, just kind and just, you were like, how can I support you? What can we do to help you? Like, is there anything we can do? Reminders, anything that will help you be able to balance your work and the program? And it was just really cool because when you're going through like university or something, if you miss a lecture, it is not good and you're in trouble and it's scary and you can end up beating yourself up a little bit, but just not being able to meet a couple, will be able to come to a couple lectures because I got the time difference wrong or just work was taking over. Sarah and Chelsea were super cool about it. So that was one of the things I came up against, but it was just really awesome. And it's quite interesting as well, seeing how Sarah and Chelsea were both so kind about it and so nice about it that I then was able to give myself that same nurturing when I missed a session. And I guess this is part of this work because, you know, as a facilitator, you're holding the space, but showing someone how else they can meet themselves with compassion and lovingness. So in that moment when, Sarah responded and was just like, how can we support you? I was like, oh my gosh, I can come back to myself if I've missed something and say, oh, how can I support myself? What can I do in this moment? I'm human. These things are going to happen. So that was just one thing, and that was super cool. And the other thing is, I know we've spoken a lot about, you go on your own healing journey in this program, but again, I don't think any of us were expecting that in any shape or form. But similar to what Sarah said, when you come away from a lecture and you've learned something and then you take it into your personal life and you work with it, you then are able to have so much more compassion for the person you're working with because you might have been through that, or you might have struggled with something, so that when you with someone in a session and they bring something to you, you have an understanding and more compassion, and you're just able to hold that grounded space because you've been there and you've worked with it yourself. And I know everyone's experience is different, but you're just able to, listen to it fully and be fully present there for somebody, which I think is what, what people want on the other end of a session. I know it's what I needed when I was going through therapy, was someone just to hear everything that was going on for me and just give me compassion and kindness, which is exactly what the whole program is just like, in one word I could give it, is just like loving and compassion, from Sarah and Chelsea, the program itself, and then what you're able to give yourself, and then what you're able to give your future clients or clients and people in your life generally.
Ah, so beautiful, Katie. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm so glad you had that experience of feeling care and compassion and support when you were in that really challenging time. And yeah, I mean, the reason Chelsea and I didn't, I remember you messaging us, and I hope it's okay that I share this. You were like, I missed more lectures than I was allowed to or supposed to. Like, it was outside of the attendance policy. Does that mean I'm kicked out of the program? And yeah, I just remember like my heart swelling in that moment. And the reason we responded the way we did was not because it didn't matter that you missed the lectures, right? It wasn't like, don't worry about it. Who cares? Whatever. See you next week. It was because we want you to succeed and because we believe in you and because we know that you can succeed. And sometimes life can get in the way of that. And so, like, how do we meet, it's something Chelsea and I are doing for ourselves too, is like, how do we meet life when it's coming at us hard and it's throwing these challenges at us and we're not able to show up in life or in a program like this or in work or in relationships the way that we want to? Like, how can we love ourselves through that and still hold very gentle, loving accountability, right? Like, the focus was still on how can we get you back on track, right? Or how can we get you in a place where you feel like you're back on track, right? And we know, and hey, little hint here about the curriculum, like, we know that shaming is not the way to do that, right? Shaming yourself is not the way to do that. I suck. I don't know why I keep missing these lectures. I just need to get better. I need to figure out how to be better at this and not like keep sucking anymore. That doesn't work, right? I think we've all tried that in our lives. And so it's how can you love yourself through it? So I'm just so glad that you felt that modeled for you, and then you were able to then step in and do that for yourself. So beautiful. Last couple questions here before we wrap up. First one is really, it'll be for Grace and Pam because they were at the in-person retreat. Anything you want to share about that retreat, the week long? It's an optional part of this program. It's in person in Southern California, and it is a deep dive. It is 5 days, I believe, of deep dive, immersive practice with this work in person. The rest of the program is virtual. So anything either of you want to share about the retreat? And then for anyone, just any last words that you might want to share or offer to someone who's maybe listening and is curious about this program, is thinking about it, is interested, potentially, maybe nervous about it. But all of you have shared a little bit already about what you would say to someone in that position, but just any last thoughts, I'll open it up to that.
Yeah, the retreat was incredible. Really, like I appreciate that it's optional because for some folks, whether financial schedule, being in New Zealand, like Katie, it's very, it's not for everyone. Not to say you won't get a ton out of this program without it. And if you are able to, I would highly, highly encourage it. That in-person intensive time and feedback you get from each other is priceless. I'm grateful for Zoom because I think, we get a lot from Zoom, but there's something about working in person. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you've heard this before. There's something about working in person that is a little different and allowed us to move together, to be creative together. We even I won't give spoilers, but we all worked on one giant piece of art at one point, and those types of things just aren't possible virtually. So just being together in that space was incredible and gave me so much wonderful insight and experience for taking this work into my own practice. I also think just that Crestline is an amazing place. It's beautiful. You really feel like you are in the wilderness, and in a great way. It's breathtakingly beautiful there. And we spent a lot of time out in nature, which is something that is really important to me, has always been a regulating, grounding place for me. And it gave me a chance to actually play with practicing facilitating in nature, which is something I want to bring into my practice personally. And was just ripe with like metaphors, and just really helped widen my perspective and gave me ideas of how I can help my clients do the same. So yeah, it was great. Really, really good.
I will echo, double down, double click everything that Grace just said. I will also say from my experience, it felt very much like a retreat. I felt like I was in not my normal, I was really unplugged from everything other than what we were there to do. The days are packed. And yet there's room to breathe inside the days too, but they are very deliberately intensive. I think Sarah called it a deep dive. It is very much a deep dive. I was very tired and really grateful for my own room at the end of each day. I needed some decompression, sort of just room to sort of let the day happen to me, rest and be ready for whatever was coming next. Um, Crestline is an incredibly beautiful place. There was plenty of opportunity to walk around, be in nature, take morning coffee walks on your own or with a friend if you wanted. It was a very unique experience.
Yeah, I love that. I also loved the retreat and felt a lot of the same things that you both spoke to. Like it felt very intensive. It felt very immersive for me. It felt like a deep dive. It felt like an unplug. It felt like being outside of my own routine, which also brought in a lot of challenges and a lot of beautiful opportunities to explore how you can reconnect with yourself and still hold effective, beautiful space when things are feeling a little funky too. So I loved the retreat. I also it feels important to keep it optional because like you said, Grace, it's just not possible for everyone and it's not a necessity in order to be able to be fully trained in this work and like retweet come to the retreat if you can because magical, magical, beautiful. Any last words, anything else anyone wants to share before we wrap up?
I do. I want to, as a salesperson in my real job, I have not done much selling of this other than my, sharing my own experience. I think I heard it from both Grace and Katie. If there is an inkling, if there's a curiosity, follow that curiosity, at least to the next conversation, at least through the interview process, at least to the next step. See if the curiosity exists after that. And I think, I mean, this is intended to be funny, but on both tombstones for Sarah and Chelsea, it should say, get curious about that, right? So in the case of this, if you're considering this, like, let's get curious. What is the interest about? What do you think that looks like? Why do you think it's calling you? And how loud is that calling? And even some of this questioning is a little bit of that embodiment work. Like feel it. Where is it coming from? Why is it coming up? Don't run yourself ragged over the details, but follow that curiosity to the extent that it can help you answer what it may be calling you to. And I also want to reiterate, I did not have an answer when I signed up. I did not have that sort of full sentence with a period at the end. I just knew that I needed more, I wanted more, and I wanted some of my own skills to start practicing in my life wherever I may be able to show up with it. It turned out that at the end of the program, things went very differently. And yes, that all definitely happened and more, which I really didn't anticipate going in. So I think I would just really like to invite anyone who has that curiosity to just really spend a little bit of time with it. Um, that's what I'll say.
Yeah, I fully agree with everything you just said, Pam. I think also, if you've got that little inkling and curiosity, and if you follow it, you gain so much trust in yourself. It is just tenfold. Like, can't even put words to it. Like my body, I don't know what's going on. I feel a bit excited, but you just like every time there's like curiosity and you follow that curiosity and then you do it and you're like, oh my gosh, that was the right thing. And then it's almost like a full circle moment because, I'm hearing um, Sarah, Pam, and Grace talk about the retreat, and I couldn't do it because obviously I was in New Zealand. And I was just thinking then that I remember ages ago when I was studying construction at uni and I did my dissertation, but I did it on how green spaces are really good for your mental health. I was just like, was really hooked on it. And, I always thought I was a bit woo woo because I liked nature, always knew it made me feel better, didn't know why. I just thought I was just a bit, bit different. And then doing the program, we were talking about the nervous system and understanding it. And then I saw this documentary ages ago about how actually nature and the nervous system, what the nature does for your nervous system. And just doing the program, I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't, I'm not crazy. I'm not any of these things I thought I was. Actually, this has all literally been my body and my gut leading me to actually what I feel like is true. And similar to, signing up for the Luscious Love program, wasn't sure about it, but had a gut feeling, signed up for it, realized actually again, I wasn't broken. Relationship anxiety was something that was going on in my brain. And, Sarah and Chelsea taught me to get back into my body. And again, I was like, just following your gut. Just, it's so, you just learn so much about yourself and your own trust, and you trust in yourself more. So, I'm trying to get the words out, but it's just, yeah, if you can follow that curiosity and just asking your brain to just be quiet for a moment so you can sit in and truly feel your body and feel whether you have, you feel drawn, you feel excited, you feel like you want to do it, and your mind's naturally going to pop in. But everything we get taught here is you can listen to your mind, but it truly is your body, and, it is your body that's leading you. So that's probably the only thing I wanted to say.
Yeah, I totally agree with both what you both said. And I think the last thing I'll add is if there are, to Katie's point, your mind will pop in, even if your body and your body is showing you curiosity. You're feeling curious about this. You're feeling like, man, that's something that sounds really cool. Like I don't really know how to use it yet, or I don't really know how I'll do in it, but I'm really curious about it. And your mind is popping in with barriers. That's really what I want to comment on is the barriers that come in. I would encourage you to not work through them yourself. I would encourage you to reach out to Chelsea and Sarah and say, hey, I am really curious about this program, but XYZ is really blocking me. What do you guys think? Just to like open up that conversation. And there's probably more options than you think for alleviating some of those barriers. They might be able to provide some perspective, and you can rest assured that they are never going to pressure you. There's never going to use like sneaky sales tactics or weird, like that's just not, first of all, not in their DNA, not in the healing embodied practice at all. I've never felt that at all from them. And they don't want folks to join this program if it isn't right for them. So you can rest assured that they will tell you if they feel like it's not a fit. But I would just encourage you, yeah, don't work through those barriers yourself. If you're coming up against barriers to joining and you just need to like talk it out, they are super personable and wonderful and understanding. And they might give you some perspectives you don't have or some solutions you haven't thought of. So yeah, that's all I want to say.
I love all of that so much. Thank you all. I love that every single one of you is just saying, like, if you feel the curiosity, follow it. Just lean into it. Lean into the curiosity. You're not saying, like, yeah, go sign up today. Like, No, just lean into the curiosity and see what happens. And the thing is, like, it's so easy to find reasons not to do it, and so easy to find reasons that this won't work. Every single one of you had reasons to not do this program or to not follow that curiosity, to not do this work. Like, it would have been really easy to come up with reasons why you shouldn't do it. And all of you followed the curiosity, chose to try something new, try something scary, try something when you didn't have all the answers. And every single one of you has said, like, I'm so glad that I did, right? And I gained so much that I hoped I would gain, and even more beyond that. So I love this. If you are listening to this or watching this video on the YouTubes and you have that curiosity, hop on a career vision call with myself or Chelsea. It is a free call. It is truly obligation free. Like Grace said, we're not going to try and just sell something to you. Chelsea and I are not good saleswomen. Let's be real here. Like that, it's not just not in our values or our DNA. It's not in our skill set. I'm going to tell you that right now. Like, Pam, you work in sales. We ain't not saleswomen over here. No. We're going to help you lean into the curiosity, help you embrace that curiosity, help you ask the questions that we want you to be asking to really help uncover if this is the right program for you or not. And like Grace said, if it's not, then with all the love and care in my heart, we don't want you in the program. So we just want to have an open, honest conversation, help you get curious, help you look at things from different angles. We want to meet you. We want you to meet us. We really want to make sure that this feels like a good fit. So if that curiosity is there, I will have everything linked down below in the show notes. Schedule a career vision call with myself or Chelsea, and let's meet. Let's talk. We will answer any questions you have about this program. We will talk about what is drawing you to it, and we will go from there. So, thank you all so much for listening. Thank you, Pam, Grace, Katie, so much for being here. This was amazing. I am so proud of each and every one of you and feel so honored that we could reconnect today and just recount your journey in this program again. So, thank you all so much.